How you doing? This is Jeff back with my review on the SPL MixDream. As promised in a few of my other videos, I was going to post a review on how this thing sounds. I recently was able to get in to do a little bit of mixing on this thing. My band was demoing so a second guitar player could learn the songs, so did some quick mic setups and individual tracking, and just kind of took one guitar, one bass, drums, and just kind of dove in and ran it through the gear just to get an idea, because some of the projects I have right now I don't have complete yet, and I'm not ready for mixing the whole thing. So here I am telling you what I think. I'll kind of run through a little bit of how I routed it. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how I want to send everything out, since I only have I have 16 mono channels and I have 8 stereo channels. So everything eventually gets stemmed and then sent out to the mix stream. But what I can tell you is, right off the bat, you kind of have to change your mindset from mixing inside of the DAW in the box. Normally on drums I'd send my snares to a bus, my kicks to a bus, toms, so forth, have them all bus to a drum aux, and then have my parallel compression and verbs and all that. It's a little bit different. I'm not going to get into that completely right now because I'm still trying to figure it out, and there is another gentleman here on YouTube which I'll throw some props to, where I'm kind of learning that from. But I'm here to tell you what I think so far in the little bit that I've used it. So here we go. So like I said, I didn't have that many instruments to work with, so I was able to spread everything out over a larger area. Now if I had a full band with 2 guitars, lead, background vocals, all that good stuff, I'd probably do this differently, but since I didn't have too many, I was able to spread everything across what I had a little bit more. What I can tell you is I ended up putting my kick and my snare on a mono channel. I think I put the toms through room mics, overheads, hi-hat, went to a drum bus, and I sent that to 3/4 in stereo. 5/6 I did parallel drums, so I actually made sends from all the individual drums and did compression for parallel drums on 5/4, and then I think I put a reverb for the drum kit on 7/8. Again, there's not a lot out there yet, so I'm still kind of experimenting, and I may not be doing it the right way, or there may not be a right way to do it. It's kind of just seeing what you think sounds right, just like everything else in this hobby or profession. What I can tell you a little bit about the MixDream is, like any other, you have your monos. So when you have it in stereo, you're going to be left-right. Now when you're in mono, everything's going to hit in the center. So if you have a snare drum and a kick on the same, and you have it in mono, it's going to hit kick, snare, right in the center. If you were to send that same kick and snare through a stereo, you're going to hit left and right. It's going to be kick, snare, kick, snare. So you want to pay attention to that. One other thing I can tell you is this variable output. If you have it off, this doesn't work. It just has a unity gain setting, and you can't control the output to your DAW. Now if you have this on, the knob is now active, and you can push it back into your DAW however you want. One thing that I like about this, for the little bit that I've used it, is everything sounds big. You can push this thing and make everything sound real big and punchy. The drums sound super punchy. And it adds like an analog warmness. It reminds me of things I listened to back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when, even now when you hear of bands, like I know the Foo Fighters did one a couple years ago where it was all done with analog gear inside Dave Grohl's garage. Now you're not going to get that complete console sound, but it kind of gets you a step closer. It brings that roundness, that warmth that you can't get just out of DAW recording. And I think the biggest thing of all that I like about this is instrument separation. Now I read a little bit about this when I got this, that you get really good instrument separation and nothing really bleeds together. Now off the bat when I record, I always do some frequency compression on bass, so that the bass compresses when the kick drum hits in that 45 to 60 area, wherever the kick is sitting, so that it kind of pulls the bass out and that kick punches through. And but what I can tell you right away is the instrument separation on this was great. Like right away, you know, you want to sit back and think of guitars and hear guitars, think of the drums and hear the drums, think of the bass and so forth, you know, so on and so forth. And I could do that, you know, once I had a mix together, and I only really did like an hour mix, so it doesn't really sound, you know, something I'd post yet or you know, sell to anyone. But I could tell you that everything, nothing bled together, everything was in its own area and, you know, shined on its own. I could hear everything clearly. The separation was great. Everything sounded nice and big, and like I said, it does add a little bit of warmth. And you know, something like the tube bus that everyone usually goes for, there I'm reading that it's very transparent. It has a good tone, but I wanted something that kind of would add some warmth and some old nature to it. One thing that I do with this also is I kind of make my own kind of retrofitted console. So I have the MixDream, and then I also run it through this SSL style bus compressor. So in a sense, you're almost using it as you would one of the SSL desks where you have that master bus compressor, everything's going through before it goes out. So that really glues everything together. So I put an IO utility strip on my output and activate that so it's sending out to the compressor, and I'm able to, you know, I kind of just touch it, you know, about 4 dB of compression, and it kind of just really nicely glues everything together. And it's just, I've read about this, and I was told by one of my guys at Sweetwater that a lot of people are doing that to kind of get that old feel. I can't really say too much other than what I've said, because I'm sorry, I haven't dove too much into it, but I really like what I hear. Right away, I was getting sounds that were very workable, other than when I was working straight in the DAW. It's kind of like, you know, trying to polish a turd so much. You're kind of already at a good starting point, and you don't have to work as much. That's just what I think. I'm really glad I bought it, especially for 820 bucks. I didn't pay the full, what, 1,500, I think. I would even think about getting another one so I have a little bit more options. And I know that you have to kind of stem them out, you know, different ways, and I have to learn that. And I'm kind of holding off on making that video of how I run everything out. I just did a quick, you know, 1-2 hour mix on something, sent it off to the guys, and they were like, wow, you know, imagine what we can do if you know, we have a full, you know, mix on something. And I think it just has a different tonality, you know, than working right inside the box. I think it's very evident. A lot of people don't think that it's necessary. You know, after the little bit that I've done this, I'm not a professional studio, but this is a hobby of mine, and I do it, you know, as often as I can. I like it. I'm really glad that I bought it, and that's where I sit. I think it's a great piece of gear. I hope this helps. Any other questions, you know, I can explore this a little bit longer. I'm just kind of making this video real quick before band practice. I'll put a link to my studio, Black Sail Studio Baltimore, in the description, and that's where we are. Thank you.